Welcome back to the Purity series. Today we're talking about purity of speech. Oh my goodness. Okay, I was researching speech in the Bible and the different commands about speech. There's so much in there. I'm going to really try to condense it for us today, but bear with me. The Bible has a lot to say about speech. So many principles, so many even commands. So let's get going. What do you think of when you think of pure speech? I think the first thing that comes to my mind is not telling dirty jokes. Now, obviously, we want to talk about so much more than that, but that's certainly one of the things. What does pure speech sound like? What does it mean to have our speech seasoned with salt? What does it mean to speak with grace? Some of the things I found that we were not supposed to do in our speech was to have perverse speech, false speech, corrupt, deceitful, slandering, gossiping, quarreling, or discussing sinful acts. All of those were things we were not supposed to do with our speech, but the things we're supposed to do are to speak truth, grace, to be kind and forgiving in our speech, to be thankful, and to please God with what we say rather than pleasing men. And one of the other things that Paul especially would bring out a lot to the churches was that the church's speech and their lives should be such that even when they would be accused of wrongdoing, their lives would show the lie that was in it and would convict the people who were saying wrong about them, because they were living such pure lives and having such pure speech. So let's go through some of the different things. Let's start with inappropriate jokes or stories. This can be all kinds of inappropriate. There's, I think, different levels of inappropriate. As Christians, why would we allow ourselves to think about and share with each other things that aren't glorifying to God? This is something that troubles me when I see brothers and sisters doing this, laughing about somebody's body, sexual references. There's so many different things that can be inappropriate, but the Bible talks about it's shameful to speak about what the wicked do in secret. We shouldn't be laughing about sin. God takes sin really, really seriously. Let's not joke about that. And God takes the people that He has made seriously. They're precious to Him. Let's not laugh about someone that's made in God's image. Whether we think they're not attractive, they're overweight, they're clumsy, it doesn't matter. They're made in God's image. Let's not laugh about that. And going with that, something that my husband and I have come to is even jokes about body parts. You'll see a lot about in movies, or even just farting, things like that. Even that has to do with our bodies. Let's show honor to what God has made. Let's not demean God's creation in us and His image in us. Secondly, gossip. We know gossiping is bad. And I put in quotation marks because it's one of those sins that we kind of think of it as acceptable. Oh, everybody does it. Whatever. You have the potluck after church and you just talk. Or I'm just sharing a prayer request. And you're really gossiping. Sharing too much. But what does it mean to gossip? When do I know I'm gossiping? Where I've come down on this is if the thing that I am saying about this person causes the person listening to me to have a negative view of this person, now I have gossiped. It is good to share good gossip about others, to praise them to someone else and raise them in their view. That would be gracious speech. That would be kind and loving to do that. But to share something that will make them think less of this other person would be gossip, in my mind. Let's be really careful about the information that we're willing to just share. And sometimes I can struggle with this. I'm not a private person, obviously. I share a lot of stories about myself and my struggles in these videos, but I have a lot of friends who really, really are, and I had to learn to be really careful even if they didn't specifically swear me to secrecy, don't tell them this, it's embarrassing. I just had to learn. Not everyone wants everything about them just shared around. So even if it's not a bad story about the person, let's keep things in confidence. Let's be slow to share stories and make sure they're okay to share. How about swearing? This is an interesting thing in the Christian community, I feel like. So you have Christians who start to say, well, it's okay to swear. What does the Bible say about that? The Bible doesn't, as far as I've seen, the Bible doesn't directly address cussing, because when the Bible's talking about swearing, it's talking about swearing oaths, as far as I know. But I believe there's lots of principles about gracious speech, speech that is a blessing to others, speech that is not corrupt. I have never heard a swear word and been like, ah, that was a blessing. I'm glad you said that in front of me. So yeah, let's have speech that's gracious and is a gift to others when they hear it, and not something where they're like, lying. Is there gray areas in this? Again, this is one where people say, oh, of course, lying is bad. It's one of the 10 Commandments. But then you'll have the mom who will look at her little child and say, no, dear, they don't have a bathroom in the store, because she wants to leave quickly, even though they do have a bathroom in the store. Oh, it's just a little white lie. So, but what about surprises? Well, playing pretend or surprising someone, it's not the same as telling a falsehood. I do think there's an obvious difference there. But I think the gray area comes when you're trying to surprise someone. How do you get them to the place and not let them find out? But, you know, what do you tell them? So that starts to get tricky, and that's not even something I've figured out. Because everything else in life I've totally figured out, just not that. Just kidding. So I think it can be hard to toe this line, but let's err on the side of truth. Always. However, always, however, truth in love. Let's tell the truth in love, please. Let's not be that lady who splits churches because she's just being honest. I know my parents knew a woman who had a way of saying things that were either really bossy or really mean, but she would try to fix it by, at the very end of the sentence, making a nice note at the end of the sentence. Let's be gracious and loving with our speech. So yeah, that's another one to balance, being honest, being truthful, yet how much truth before it turns into gossip, and how do we tell the truth so that it's kind? And most of all, grace. This is the thing I saw over and over and over again as I was researching. Speaking with grace. What does grace mean? It is a gift that is undeserved. Is my speech a gift to you? Do you feel blessed when I speak to you? Is it just noise? Do I have love? As 1 Corinthians 13 says, if I can speak wondrous words with blah blah, I obviously can't. But even if I could, without love, it's just a clanging cymbal. It's just somebody hitting a gong. Noise, it doesn't matter. Let's have grace. Let's have love. Let's minister to each other. So are my words a gift? Do I give the benefit of the doubt? Am I quick to accuse and jump on others? Am I impatient with my words? It's so easy to be short and snappy, especially if I'm not feeling good. So trying to daily practice grace with everyone, including the annoying little sibling, including that lady who cut in front of me in line, everyone. James talks about the tongue being harder to control than a ship. A ship has its rudder, you can control it. A horse has its reins, you can control it. But the tongue, what controls the tongue? It's like a wildfire. So let's be really, really careful with our speech. And this is harder for some than for others. Some people are just so blessed with being able to talk and just keep talking and keep a conversation going. That's not my gift. But those may be the people who struggle more with saying things like, you try to stuff it back in. It's already out there. It's too late. So let's be slow to speak and ask God to help us, because again, our hearts are deceitful. Our minds are full of sin because we're sinners. And so sinful speech is going to come out. So let's be quick to ask for forgiveness as well as to forgive others. Thank you guys so much for keeping with this series, for watching. Next time is Purity of Action, and that's going to be the end of the Purity series. So thank you guys so much for watching.